a ZVT coming on up here. And it is going to be two players who are probably a little bit unfamiliar, or most people might be a little bit less familiar with them, but we'll talk about them a little bit as we get into it. Spawning up in the top right position of 2000 Atmos, it is the Red Zerg player, Erik. Representing the Cranky Ducklings.
Nice.
Very cool pickup for them.
Hell yeah, very exciting stuff. In the bottom left-hand side, in the blue, pardon me, representing Brazil and TerraN, he is TerraN.
Yes, he is.
The best player. I know a Zerg player who's named Protoss, and honestly, Steadfast, fuck that guy. Like, how could you do that? How could you do that to me? At least TerraN is honest about who he is.
There's I've seen some that use they use some funny ones. It's like, what is the name of it? It's like Protoss F2 A move race is the name, and then they spawn in as TerraN, but they use a Zerg like decal as their portrait.
Those monsters. Yeah, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. I don't know how you can live with yourself doing that. Yikes. So we're in Group A now, Latin America. We've moved from EU, which we were covering earlier in the day, to LATAM now. And Group A is actually, Latin America shook out really interestingly. Only 2 nations represented in Latin America here in DreamHack qualifiers. We've got 4 Mexican players and 4 Brazilian players, sort of the 2 powerhouse StarCraft 2 nations. You know, we got a couple players from Uruguay and Peru and stuff, but for the most part, Brazil and Mexico. Interestingly, though, Group A, 1 Mexican and 3 Brazilians. Group B, 1 Brazilian and 3 Mexicans. And I think the odd man out in each group is the favored player to win the group outright.
Yeah, and it's not like they're favored by a little bit. Like, they are massively favored. It is Special and Kelazur. I think the only situation where maybe in Group A, it's not massively favored, because Kelazur versus Cham could. Oh wow, look at that! All those Lings surviving barely. One of them with 1 HP. But yeah, I think Cham versus Kelazur could be a pretty even one. Could be. I would still give the edge to Kelazur by a little bit, but. Especially, actually, depends on where they're playing from, because I know that Cham right now is moving into Korea, so he will have a little bit of ping disadvantage.
Well, isn't Kelazur in the Netherlands? So,
if
he's in Korea and they play on the North America server, it should be equally unpleasant for both.
Yeah.
Usually about fair, but yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, no question. I think Special and Kelazur most likely. Of course, those are 2 of the players who came through from the EPT standings last year in places 1 and 2 there, with Cham and Erik in spaces 3 and 4. And I think those 4 players, including Erik here in this game, probably far and away the favored players to make it out of the group stages. With all due respect to Paco Mike, TerraN, Jim Rising, and the Zerg Lord, it's going to be a tough match for all of them. Maybe Jim Rising has a chance of getting through.
It's possible, but I would not bet against Cham in that scenario, I think. And wait, actually, who's in this group? It's Erik, Kelazur, TerraN, and Jim. Is that right?
Erik Special, TerraN, and the Zerg Lord.
Oh, Erik Special, TerraN, and the Zerg Lord. Okay, yeah. I was looking at the third match, which has. Is that Cham versus Paco Mike is in the other group. But yeah, either way, I think you were right. I misspoke. Been a bit of a long day of casting, but a fun day for sure. And well, what we're seeing in this game so far is we've seen a super fast third command center like we saw in many of the EU games TVZ. Yeah. And like Hero Marine twice, it's going to be Cloak Banshee follow-up.
Yeah, which is really interesting here. You know, Cloak Banshee sort of on the... By the way, chat's saying that I'm a little quiet here in the StarCraft scene as compared to the main scene. I don't know if that's something you can fix on the fly. If not, I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, something we did see a lot in EU were these Cloak Banshees, which is honestly a little surprising. I think you'll agree with me that Cloak Banshees maybe falling a bit out of favor in the past few months. It's really interesting to see a lot of TerraN players, especially TerraN players in different regions, both relying on this similar build. You know, sometimes these builds will get popular in one region and be like, oh, of course, LATAM players always going to go Ling Bane. That's just what they do. But interesting to see the Cloak Banshees coming back, both in Europe and here in Latin America.
Yeah, no kidding. Definitely. Honestly, I think it's been the strongest build in the meta for a while. Just because it still transitions so cleanly into bio play.
Right.
You get that stim, the potential 2-tank marine stim double medevac push is it's only about 20 seconds, 10 to 20 seconds later. Yeah, it's about 20 seconds later. 20 seconds later with that that Cloak Banshee, and you just have so much aggressive potential, and it's so much safer than the Hellion Liberator style. Wow, the unit's moving very, very far out for TerraN, all the way past the Queens. Does get a couple of Creep Tumors, but yeah, losing a couple of Hellions. Although, wow, where? Oh, in the natural. Okay, yeah, we've got Banshees.
It was interesting there, a real deep dive by the Hellions that I don't think paid off. You know, they dove so deep, they tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, they only got a few Creep Tumors and then got picked off. He lost 3 or 4 Hellions there, which just straight up not worth it for the amount of Creep Tumors he got, considering there are so many Queens still out of the map. And with a Spire behind this, I feel like Erik's still in a really good spot here. TerraN's just sort of failed to make anything happen. Even getting surround there on the Hellions is real rough for his long-term game plan. That creep spread going to be unchecked for quite some time.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice surround. Very effective right there. And you're going to be happy about that as the Zerg player, most assuredly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially since it's Ling Bane Muta behind this with gases 4 and 5 and 5 and 6 being taken as well. So look at that, 7 and 8 getting taken. Is that all the gases? Oh my god. Wow. Erik grabbing all those gases for a very intense Ling Bane Muta style. Gonna be some pressure here from TerraN, but I think Erik's still in a really good position. 76 workers to 65. I don't see anything wrong with the position of our Zerg player right now.
No, he even gets a little bit of a connection on those units. 1-1 about to finish up. And, well, he's got enough gas for, by the time the Spire finishes, it's going to be like 13, almost 14 mutas. This is a crap ton of gas right here.
No question. And like that's the sort of thing I'm sure you can speak a little bit more about, but I always feel like there are tiers of Mutalisk harassment. So if you're like under 10 mutas, that's like a tier 1 harass. Like you're gonna get a little damage done, but you can't really engage with a missile turret. You gotta run away from 2 or 3 Marines. Once you get up to 13, 15, 20 mutas, you sort of get into that tier 2 of like, I can stick around, I can take some fights, I get a little more scary. And then of course, once you get over 20 Mutalisks, you're in great shape. You can face Marines head to head. And Erik's gonna have so much gas, as you said, 13 mutas on the way, about to pop here, looking like a really strong push.
Yeah, and the beauty of getting up to a really, really high muta count as well. Especially, well, not just the muta count, but as things get later. Oh, by the way, we are going to see this tank getting jumped on a little bit. It's in a really great position, though, and, oh, the repair is not quite in time to keep it alive, but does cost a lot more lings than it probably should have. In fact, all the lings going down. What was that? That was 30 Zerglings for a tank and 2 Marines. That's actually not worth it, really, at all. That is way too many lings to be sacrificing for that.
Especially in Ling Bane Muta, when the rallying cry of the day is larva, 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 larva. Even though Erik's on 5, man, it's not quite, not 5 bases rather. It's still a little scary considering that he's up against bio play, which is just sort of guaranteed damage from TerraN, who's now moving into that inside 4th base, but eats a fair few Baneling shots. I don't know though, the Baneling count a little bit low from Erik right now.
Yeah, it is, but we are going to see the Mutas counterattack, and that's that count we were talking about. This is a lot of mutas right here, but, oh, you don't want to fight that many Marines. He is paying attention at the main fight, and he just lost 6 mutas, and now we're going to see these Marines, well, they are going to split, even though they're on creep, pretty decent splits, and that's going to be TerraN holding this position, but the mutas will return and are going to be able to take that down, but some pretty decent Widowmine shot, but just the one. Oh, but there's another one, and there's Marines, and another one. Oh, that is way too much damage. Oh my god, he loses every single muta.
I feel like I'm watching a Groucho Marx routine, just stepping on a rake and then falling into a puddle and then getting hit in the face with a banana cream pie, and then an anvil drops on you, and then a hammer drops out of the anvil and hits you on the head before you fall into a piano. Just a terrible, terrible movement pattern there by Erik. losing almost all of his Mutalisks. I don't know if you can pull up the battle report here, but he lost a metric crap ton of Mutalisks there. And things not looking good as the worm turns a bit in TerraN's favor. 23 Mutas going down.
Yeah, that was a disaster. Meanwhile, Drop on the other side picked off 22 drones during all of this. Holy crap, TerraN is eviscerating Erik here. I was saying that I feel like, well, we were both saying that it felt like it was a little kind of a cut and dried scenario. But TerraN saying, nuh-uh, no, I'm better than you think. And I believe TerraN is also known as the player Yarpy.
Okay.
Or Jens. I could be wrong about that. I may be mistaken. We do see some Banelings rolling in here, but some pretty good splits from TerraN are going to be enough to mitigate them, despite the fact he's taken so many fights on creep, and they've still been so efficient for him, which is really, really uncommon.
And now he's just feeling the pressure. He seems to be in the flow state right now, where he's just sending, doing a Zap Brannigan and sending wave after wave of his own men across the field to try and break Erik even more. Erik adding on an infestation pit, but just not getting the Baneling connections he really needs here. And this is what we talked about earlier in the game. If your Mutalisk flock is only at 5, 6, 7, you really can't even engage with 2, 3, 4 Marines because they're going to trade pretty efficiently. 4 Marines trading for 1 Mutalisk is still a decent trade because that's 200 minerals versus 100 minerals and 100 gas, which means it's still advantageous for the TerraN player.
Yeah, and exactly the thing about that too is, like, you know, 5 Marines on their own, still an effective fighting force. 5 Mutas on their own, not as effective. So just by cutting that Muta count down, you're actually coming out ahead as well, and not just in the pure resource scenario, but also in the effectiveness of the powering. So, like, if you keep all your Mutas alive, it is so much more powerful than if, you know, you bleed 1 or 2 or 3 of them out every so often. But something that is looming that is a really, really big problem for Erik is that 3-3.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a story we've been, a news story we've been singing for the last 5, 6, 7 matches here, Steadfast, is those 3-3 TerraN players. Just terrifying, man. They're just terrifying. Nothing you can do about it, man. Nothing you can do about it. I mean, with 10 more drones going down, Erik can't even stay in the lead, can't even stay even, much less in the lead. And now that Thor is here and the medevac count is insanely high, these poor Mutalisks are just going to get ripped to shreds by the Thor. Well, actually, there's no Marines underneath, so they will get a nice fight there. But the Thor, again, gets some good shots off, and the Mutalisk simply can't take that fight. Erik, why are you diving so greedily and so deep? Oof.
Well, you kind of, the Marines you ordered, they showed up a little bit late. There was no Amazon Prime there, but they did eventually arrive, and that was more than enough to drive those Mutas back. And I mean, we've kind of been talking about things for a little bit, but Erik's realistically been dead in all but name for the last several minutes here. He has been fighting a losing fight. TerraN continuing to trade efficiently. He is gonna, well, overstay. Oh my God, he got the Thor out of the medevac somehow. How did that even happen? That was so quick reaction time.
Picked up the Thor in the medevac and dropped it just before the medevac died. That was beautiful. I love when the physics of the game trick you just a little bit, and the medevac goes like it dies, and the pieces go flying left. With the Thor still alive, but it doesn't really matter. The army supply 121 to 52. It's 3-3 against 2-2. Ultralisk Cavern on the way here, Steadfast, but I don't even know if that's a good choice at this point.
I mean, it's probably the best choice, but the best choice is always going to be a bad choice in a scenario like this. I mean, maybe Erik's hoping that TerraN takes such a horrible fight on creep that he can somehow come back, but there's Drilling Claw Widow Mines, there's scans coming down to clear out this creep spread. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I just don't think so. It would take miracle Baneling shots, an amazing fungal growth, some crazy Ultralisk snipes as well, or some crazy Ultralisk swipes as well. And I agree with you there. I don't see it happening here. The 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock base going to fall. Mutalisk's going to try and engage, but again, the Marine count very high. I tell you one thing that TerraN's done a really nice job of is balancing his Marine and Marauder count. Sometimes you'll see, oh my God, those Widow Mine shots from the Banelings, disgusting, Steadfast, and that's enough. GG, TerraN grabs game number 1.
That he does, and he makes it look very, very convincing.
Yeah, for sure.
To say the least.
The one thing I was going to say at the end of that game is something that's really difficult to do when you're up against Ling Bane Muta as a TerraN player is to balance your Marine and Marauder counts, because you want a bunch of Marauders to soak up Baneling shots and get ready for the Ultralisks, but you need the Marines there to sort of gun down Lings and Mutalisks. So sometimes you'll see TerraN players that'll just have like all Marines and then they'll just evaporate to some Baneling shots, or they'll go all Marauders and the Mutalisks will have a field day. But one thing TerraN did really well there was keep a balanced army, handful of Thors, plenty of medevacs, and not get too excited about overproducing one unit or another. And with no ghosts, he was even in great position there to win the game.
Yeah, he was. And, well, you might have noticed on stream that I'm just making a very surprised face. And that's because we just had the lobby linked to us. And it is none other than Beckett Industries.
Cue the Ron Paul "It's Happening" gif.
It's happening. Well, I can predict what is going to happen here. We're going to see Erik go for a very funky Roach build that anyone who's familiar with his play knows that he is a big fan of. And it's either going to work or it's not, and then we're going to go from there.
That caster insight, it's either going to work or it's not. Oh, steadfast. For those of you who don't know back home, after casting about 5 best of 3 series of StarCraft 2, your brain turns into what can only be described as like cat litter flavored jello. Like there's nothing of value left in your head at all. And it's so tough to keep casting. So, Steadfast, I'm so glad you're still with me here at the end of all things, my friend.
I mean, with you is kind of, there's parts of me.
You're digitally present.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. I was just gonna say I'm like 30% there. Like I'm not 100%. That is for sure.
That's all right. We got some good players, and they will give us a good game, whether or not we are at 100%. So,
absolutely.
I don't blame you at all. Beckett Industries is going to be a fantastic map, of course, as you said. A little bit TerraN favored right now. I would have loved to see the picks and bans for this. I have no idea what Erik did, what he banned instead of Beckett Industries. But you were saying previously, if you're a Zerg playing a ZVT, Beckett Industries, I believe you said, and I'll quote, is 100% the Zerg player's first ban.
Yeah. Yep, and I stand by that. I don't know why Erik let it through. I have to assume he has something planned for it. And it could be that Roach build that I was talking about. It could be something else. But if he just plays standard, considering what happened in the previous game, I think we've got a disaster brewing for ourselves.
This could be tough. Let's hop in the game, and then we'll talk about why losing one series is so much worse in LATAM than in Europe.
Absolutely. As we have spawning up in the top right position of Beckett, the red Zerg player from Cranky Ducklings. It is Erik.
And his opponent on the bottom left-hand side in the blue. He is, of course, the TerraN player from TerraN Land, representing TerraN. His name is TerraN.
I thought you were going to throw a curveball and say his name is Brazil.
I was so tempted. I was tempted, man.
Oh, you should have gone for it. I think it was a good call. I think it was the play.
Things, the idea hit my brain, and then my brain was like, no, Creighton. You're a professional. You're getting paid. You got to give the players the right names here. So we'll see. But look at that. Natural down already, and a gas barracks opener here for Erik. Standard stuff. I love a good standard opener. You know what we haven't seen much of today, Steadfast, at all, is cheese.
Yeah, well, I hold that thought because what I was talking about before, Erik's Roach build, he has a build where he goes standard. He goes for just a 16 hatch and, hatch gas pool. He also has a build where he goes for an extractor trick 15 hatch, which is what he's done right here, and then a pool and then a gas after, and then a Roach Warren, and I believe 5 roaches is the number. So we'll have to see if he is in fact going to go for that here, or if it is in fact, well, going to be standard play. I'm not sure, but that is what I'm thinking.
It'd be fantastic. I'd love to see that. A little early aggression, a little pushiness would be fabulous here, especially on Beckett Industries, which is a map we haven't seen much of. I want to circle back to a point we talked about earlier, Steadfast. We were talking about why one match loss is such a big deal in Latin America. In Europe, we're like, oh, these players probably going to drop a match or maybe even two, and that's fine. But not the case in Latin America, right? If you drop a map, you're in very real danger.
Yeah. This is a GSL style group. I believe.
That is correct.
Yes. So that means if you drop a, oh wow, look at that drone going down. So it's not actually going to be the build I was talking about. This was still a very late gas build and a very super fast third hatchery. But yeah, sorry, if you lose a match, you are all of a sudden into a loser's match. And look at that TerraN. Oh man, he is looking really good right now. He finds a kill on a drone, finds a creep tumor right there. Yeah, brain is definitely short circuiting.
The CPU is spinning real hard for no reason. It's like you got a Google Chrome tab open all the time that's not doing anything. You're like, why is this taking up 80% of my CPU? I totally get it. Link's don't see much, and they aren't able to slow down that natural at all from TerraN. So TerraN still finds himself in a really good spot here. As the starport goes down, the 1-1-1 finishes up, and TerraN looks to be in good shape. What's going on in TerraN's base right now, Steadfast? Is he adding on a reactor to the... Tech Lab to the barracks, which is going to swap over. It looks like more Banshees here in Game 2.
It certainly does look that way, yeah. Erik is going to go for a Roach Warren, and it is hidden, so... Well, it may not be what I was thinking of, but it may still be a whole lot of Roach aggression. Now, it doesn't have to be. It can just be standard Roach play, and I have seen Erik go for a good amount of 1-1 Roaches into... Fast 2-2 into a Hive, Lurkers, Fast 3-3, Vipers, those Lurker upgrades, just playing basically that new Dark style.
That new Dark style. That sounds like a dope-ass band name. New Dark style. That's not a K-pop group already.
It certainly should be.
No question. Cloaked Banshee coming out from TerraN. Did he get Cloak last game, or did he just go straight Banshees last game?
He got Cloak.
Okay, so yeah, similar builds here. And it looks like that Overlord probably will make it in to see what's going on. Check that Overlord's vision, and yeah, there it is. He's going to spot that Cloak, easy peasy. And no second Banshee started just yet, though.
No, but yeah, there will be once he gets the... Well, actually, I don't know what was...
He's waiting for the Overlord.
Didn't build it, I guess.
He's waiting for the Overlord to die, I think.
Oh, very possible.
Yeah, sometimes you trick him and think you're only going to build one Banshee. Because with two, you got to take it a little more seriously at least. Also, the chance, that he was trying to fake him into thinking he wasn't going for Cloak. Sometimes those TerraN players will spin up Cloak when they know the Overlord's coming, and then cancel it later to make the force an overreaction from the TerraN player. So, either way, an overreaction from the Zerg player, rather. Pardon me. Either way, good stuff going on from TerraN, and Lair Tech on the way for Erik. Seems like a bit of a later layer than I'm used to. Is that correct, or is it just a feeling that I've got, Steadfast?
Hold that thought. Banshee getting very low. Meanwhile, the Hellions trying to run by in the natural. They actually pick off a Ravager with their bonus versus light, and there's nothing in position at this natural. Oh man, this is going to be so much damage.
Roasty, toasty drones. Oh no. Give me a marshmallow and some peanut butter and chocolate and a graham cracker. It is time for Zerg s'mores, my friends. 11 drones. Make it a dozen. Make it 14. That's the number of donuts that I could eat in one sitting. True fact, Steadfast.
Wow, that's...
The Banshee's cleaning up as well. This is disgusting. This game going much, much better for TerraN.
Yeah, he is. He got a tremendous amount of damage. Not only did that do the damage that it did, it also just really discombobulates the Zerg. Leaves you feeling just all over the place. Oh, I love the split Banshee target fire right there to make sure he gets all the tumors. Takes 3 shots, so he just spreads them out perfectly. But yeah, sorry, what I was saying before, that is a little bit of a later layer, and it's a late enough layer that you can leave yourself exposed to stuff like Cloaked Banshees, but it was that Hellion run by that we were so rudely interrupted by, and Erik was so rudely dismantled by. Wow, 9 Overlords on the way.
Goodness gracious. Somebody call Laser. He's clearly had an influence on this game. By the way, Steadfast, it looks like the score on the overlays incorrect. You got it fixed? Rock and roll.
Yeah.
You're so good at this game, man. No worries. 4th base down for Erik at the 12 o'clock base. Now that's interesting. Normally I see Zerg players expanding that 3 o'clock base just because the 12 o'clocks are a little bit harder to get to and a little bit harder to defend. I feel like it's because the distance between that triangle base and the 12 o'clock base seems to be so long. Interesting that he hasn't gone for the 3 o'clock base, but either way, I think Erik's so far behind at this point. He's just got to hope that he can hold on to that base for as long as he can, which I know feels weird. Now, Steadfast, tell the people back home, why are we saying that Erik is behind? If you look at the ribbon on the bottom, he's way ahead in supply, right? He's got 66 workers. He's got 58 army. Surely he's in good spot, right?
Yeah, it looks like that on paper. Honestly, I think he is in a better spot than he should be because he did take a lot of damage there. I'm actually confused as to how that happened because Erik did lose a lot of drones, and he is on Roach Ravager, which is, of course, a very supply-intensive composition. But yeah, he is about where I'd expect him to be at this scenario, which is I'm very confused as to how that happened.
Yeah, wow. The power of good macros is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's right here up, going up the high ground here. That's obviously going to force a pickup and a get out from TerraN. But that means TerraN is loaded up into his medevacs. He's got to boost home to try and get his entire army next to a tank. Is his tank out of position? Oh, you better believe it is. Down on the low ground. And this weird double supply depot wall is just going to be free real estate for Erik to start knocking down, writing graffiti on, stripping the copper wire out of, and generally just getting a favorable trade. As soon as the tank shows up, Erik's going to pack up, get out, and sell all of that to his meth dealer so he can get a little bit more action on the side. I mean, that's a beautiful play from Erik. Free money for nothing.
Yeah, he just killed off 5 depots, and like you said, and he's rebuilding it. Why? I am so confused by why he's making this wall.
Because he's an artist, Steadfast, and he has a vision for what he wants his supply depots to look like. He's also dropping at the 3 o'clock, which is great because the army for Erik is so far out of position. As we said in the chat, in all lowercase, Erik, no.
Erik, no.
Erik.
Something very interesting happening right now. We've got Burrow move and Burrow, as well as Infestors coming down and Ling Speed. I am very confused. This is a full commit to Roaches while also starting to transition. And no Carapace started just yet either, which is a bit of a mistake. We do have a Nidus Worm in the main base. And, well, this is going to be really difficult to deal with.
It's actually really incredible that he let that Nidus Worm get all the way up, especially considering he's on bio. Especially considering he's got the second factory down, which means he should be able to have enough tanks in position to stop this from happening. Now, luckily, he's going to be able to defend that Nidus, but it has pulled his army out of position, and now it's our turn to say in all lowercase in the chat, TerraN, no. TerraN's slightly out of position, but man, those tanks. Look at those tanks ringing the top sides of the base, the main natural.
Yeah, they are getting some huge shots here. Meanwhile, this drop in the natural expansion is going to go to work. Medevac will get taken down. Second one actually going to go down to the Spore as well. No, it just barely gets killed off. But still, that is expensive for both players. Both players taking huge damage.
Fungal growth and some corrosive biles take down the medevac. Corrosive biles take down the medevac, and then a fungal growth underneath, showing those infestors are live. And of course, the burrow being showed now as well. If TerraN's not paying attention, that burrowed roach can pop up and be so annoying later on.
Yeah, no kidding. Erik down at 58 workers, TerraN down at 48. Both of them just kicking the crap out of each other. No, wow, what are the odds? Okay, I didn't notice this. +2 armor finished up for the TerraN, and TerraN, no +2 attack. Meanwhile, Erik's about to finish up his +2 attack and forgot +2 armor.
Wow, that is some Freaky Friday nonsense, and I expect both Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis to appear very shortly to explain exactly what's going on.
No kidding. And wow, this burrow move force going to be slipping past the army, and that's not only is that going to allow him to slip into the natural, but that's going to allow Erik to kind of jump on this army, force it to siege. And while all that is happening, we're going to see the unburrow at the third base. That's so many mules that are going to get taken out here. That is really, really nice for Erik.
Somewhere Clint Eastwood is really happy about the mules that are there on the base. Sorry, Steadfast, my brain short circuits. Just start making random references to things, and you're just gonna have to sit back and enjoy it. Luckily, the burrowed roach is pushed out by TerraN here. He is, though, down to 39 workers now. Look at the income advantage graph. Very briefly, TerraN was almost ahead, and then with the most recent push there, Erik is going to skyrocket for the first time this game and take a huge income advantage, which is perfect because look what structure is about to finish. He's got a very expensive Spire.
That is true. He's not got a good Spire. He's not got a great Spire. He's got a greater Spire on the mind. And, well, we are going to see... Oh, look at this. The Roach actually unburrows. The Nidus Network is dropped next to the tank, so it cannot be shot. And he's got to scan now. He's got to kill this Roach, right?
I think he got it while it was up, didn't he?
No.
I don't see it. Oh, there it is.
It's still on the bottom.
Oh, wow. Interesting. That's fun fact. That's the second Nidus that Roach has caused in the main base, and both of them have been picked off, but super annoying to deal with. You know, I don't often see burrowed Roach working, but man, Erik is really finding value with those burrowed Roaches in ways I wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, no kidding. And I want to say, this is such a smart decision to go for the Greater Spire. This is actually the one part of this map that is difficult to deal with for TerraN in the TVZ matchup is Broodlords. And Erik has done such a good job of keeping his opponent's economy from getting explosive. TerraN has never been able to take a fourth base. He's mining out of his main, mining out of his natural. Erik is on a composition that bio isn't... You don't really want to be pushing into Roach, Ravager, Infester. That being said, you do want to be dropping against it. And he's going to find that fifth base again.
Yeah, very clean kill for the second time on that 3 o'clock base. That's really nice. And I tell you, if Erik had built a couple shield batteries there, he would have been in such better position. I don't know why he continues to reject building shield batteries, because those things are just OP as hell.
Honestly, it would have been a good decision. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. He does need to free up some supply right now. Like, really badly needs to free up supply. He's only on 66 drones, which is okay because he's got a great bank, but he's fully maxed. Oh my god, another Nidus Worm coming down. He's fully maxed out though. And oh, that Roach is gonna burrow and survive. You gotta be kidding me.
That is the luckiest. That is the most James Bond Roach in the world right there. What's the what was the unit in Command & Conquer that could take over other people's buildings? Engineer?
Oh, the Engineer. Yeah.
I feel like that Roach is like an engineer who just like slips in behind enemy lines and ends everything. It's fantastic.
Oh, the Greater Spire is going to get discovered, and it's going to get taken out. Oh, that's a disaster. That might be a game-winning move, potentially. Or at least it's a game-saving move.
Yeah, for sure. Now, a couple of Corruptors on the map right now. For our boy Erik, his Corruptor count is all right. You know, he's got 4 of them out. That's not a huge commitment right now, and he's fine staying on Roach Ravager for a while, and those Corruptors can help clean up the metapacks as well. So, not the end of the world, but really not bad at all from Erik. He lost the Greater Spire, sure. He's going to lose some momentum, sure. But he's got 2-1, and there's 3-3, I guess, about to finish from TerraN. You know, actually, TerraN might be in a better position than I thought here with 3-3 about to finish up.
Yeah, there's a lot of tanks, and this army, oh, not like this. Do not go into this fight, Erik. He is going to go for it. Will land a few corrosive biles, but I don't know, man. This is looking kind of dicey. Does get some good corrosive. Oh, he doesn't finish off the frontline tanks.
Man, jeez, one more goes down, but not enough. A fungal growth hits just a few of the units. More importantly, it locked down some of the ghosts, which is big. All that's left are tanks, but all that's left are Ravagers here. And Erik finally looks like he's broken through his army supply. Massive right now with way more Roaches in the field. This tank push, though, still needs to be dealt with.
I think it will be 41 Roaches were in the production tab at one point there. And I was wondering, I'm like, man, where is Erik's army? Well, it is all in production, and it is just tanks left over here for TerraN. Ooh, this is a really nice setup here. But we do have these back rocks taken down already, so... Well, I was wondering about this, too. The unburrow play is going to pop up, and he is going to be able to take down a good number of the tanks, all the tanks on the low ground, in fact. And that, well, that was actually about as expensively as he could have done that. Oh, God. Now the supplies are all of a sudden way closer than they ever have any business being. Oh, my God. Erik took about the worst possible fight he could have ever taken. Look at the battle report. TerraN almost trading doubly as well, what is that, like... It's like an extra 60% more efficient. Oh, man.
The problem is going to be, though, that he lost all those tanks. Look at the unit counting station here. TerraN's down to just 2 tanks steadfast, and with no sustainability, no splash damage on the field. These Roaches are just going to pick these little Marine Marauder fights out of their minds. They're going to take very efficient trades here, especially with the Infestors coming, especially with the Raider Spire, just the bank in general that Erik had to expend here. Still going to put him in charge. So yeah, it was a very expensive fight, but I think well worth it to clear out all those tanks and make for a much longer game. A much better position as the game goes long.
Yeah, for sure. I just think he could have microed it a lot better and cleaned that up so much more efficiently.
100% correct.
That's what I'm more concerned about. Nice little drop on the bottom side. Did pick off 6 drones. Meanwhile, the Nidus network did get 4 SCVs in the main. But in this case, we actually are starting to see TerraN. He's probably out mining. Well, no, not yet. Oh, yeah, he had to pull off to repair. Should probably catch up in mining at the very least once he gets back to this base fully realized, so to speak.
Yeah, I do wonder if TerraN's going to pull his main base out and put it down to that bottom 6 o'clock position. That might actually be a better use of that main base than leaving in the main for a while. But Broodlord's now on the way from Erik, and once the Broodlords are in, it's going to give Erik consistent pushing power over time, which is something the Roaches and Raptors generally don't give you. Broodlord's basically the counter to any tanks that do pop up. And with the Vipers out for Blinding Clouds, I feel like Erik's in a really solid spot.
Yeah, he managed to survive and get back up to this Broodlord tech, which, as I mentioned, is actually a very, very strong way to play Beckett Industries, if you can get up to it. But, of course, the big issue is being able to get up to it. But now that he is, well, we're going to see, at the very least, this entire position getting sacrificed. We will see a bit of a base trade getting triggered here. TerraN is going to have a lot of Marine Marauder here, but it's just not quite enough to deal with this returning Roach Ravager force. And yeah, that's going to be a nice little cleanup for Erik.
Yeah, a couple nice little cleanups for Erik there. Not just in the third, but his natural cleaned up as well. Those medevacs pushed away, and as long as TerraN doesn't get a lot of damage done here, I feel like Erik's pretty decent. Yeah, he gets 12 drone kills, but the army supply and the army composition, I think, still in Erik's favor. Army value, of course, wildly in Erik's favor right now, but he cannot use those Broodlords defensively steadfast. He's got to get across the map and do something aggressively with them and not throw away 2 Vipers for free. That's some Bronze League horse shit, Erik. You can't do it.
Yeah, that's a really, really expensive loss, and that completely justifies the loss of this drop and then some.
Oh.
That is really, really expensive. And TerraN is doing an excellent job from kind of an unplayable position. He has turned this into a very much contested game. This is impressive out of TerraN, but yeah, as much as anything, this is Erik dropping the ball.
No question. Dropping the ball 110%. He could have been somebody. He could have been a contender. Look at the income graph. Just the last 10 minutes. Erik's been ahead for 8 of those minutes, and he's given it all away. He's thrown it all away. And finally, the Broodlord's able to get a good position up at the north side, but Vikings are already out. Plenty of ghosts on the field for snipes available as well. And I mean, how many TerraN versus Zerg games have we seen end with the sound of 1,000 snipes ricocheting as the GG is typed?
Well, I can tell you that I've had a lot of games where, personally, I have lost to some pretty big snipes for sure.
Yeah.
Something else to consider is that if the EMPs can land on those infestors, it makes taking the fight a lot more difficult. As it is, I think Erik can still make a very slow siege happen, but he has to be extremely careful right now.
His corruptor count is so low, though. He's at 2 corruptors right now. What are you going to fight those Vikings with? Honestly, I wouldn't fault TerraN for just flying out of that base and chasing down the Broodlords at this point, because that would be well worth it. He's continuing to drop micro, though, on the natural, getting picked up, pushed away toward the main base now, but finding little bits and bobs of damage hither and thither. Very valuable for TerraN.
Yeah, and you said it best. The income advantage has become... It's actually swung back in the favor of TerraN, and Erik's economy is really quite bad. And this is interesting. He's actually electing not to rebuild workers. By the way, nice little run by on the bottom side. TerraN will lift that command center, but he's still going to find 6 SCVs and deny the gas mining here, which is, I think, the biggest deal of this little run by. Snipe comes in, kills that road.
The biggest deal of this little run by. I love it. It's like you're like a property manager in Reno, California. Beautiful. Now the Broodlords are finally coming in. There's that beautiful EMP onto all 4 Infestors with no energy, or 3 of the Infestors with no energy left now. But the Broodlord push is getting very real now, and even a couple Thor shots are not going to be enough to finish off these Broodlords. I like the position Erik's taking now, but I'm a little bit concerned that the Thor number is beginning to increase, the Ghost number is beginning to increase, and TerraN's able to push out onto the map and do it with some of these counter damages like we see now at the 3 o'clock position.
Yeah, this is kind of the best way to play against a Broodlord army that you can't fight. Oh, big fungal growths, but there's just so much bio here. And he's actually going to collapse in on here as the Broodlords retreat. This is all of a sudden looking terrible for Erik. He's on the retreat. He's going to have all of these Broodlords getting routed. A lot of them taking big snipes. They will still be able to survive for the moment. Parasitic Bomb landing on those Vikings, but there's just so much bio on the ground. It is really low on HP, but there's nothing to protect the Broods, and that is going to be just it. He's going to get run over right here.
Unbelievably bad positioning from Erik, losing everything, and it looks like, unbelievably, TerraN is going to come back. This is the most back and forth match we have seen all